It's Elliot, and today the walkthrough that I'm going to be demonstrating it's going to show how to set up a single sign-on with AWS Connect using the identity provider, which is called Okta. Okay, so we're just going to get right into it. I prepared some technical definitions and some layman's terms, common definitions, just to hit both ends of the spectrum, depending on who's watching. Again, so let's get right into it. So what is single sign-on? Okay, SSO, single sign-on, is an authentication process that allows a user to access multiple applications or services with a single set of credentials. So that means it's like one and done. Okay. It works by sharing authentication information between trusted systems, and it eliminates the need for users to enter their username and password for each service individually. Okay, we all probably have multiple, I don't know, Gmail accounts or so. So maybe it's just like having one Gmail account, master Gmail account. You can just kind of enter, and then you also have other Gmail accounts which all have their other you know email services, and whatever services you want. It can be accessible just through one like gateway. But that's what it is. Like tech speak. In common terms, SSO is like having a magic key that can open lots of different doors. You only need to use this key once, and it automatically unlocks all the doors you're allowed to enter, so you don't have to remember a bunch of different keys. Okay. All right. So what is Okta? Okta is an identity and access management platform that provides centralized location and security for user access to various applications and services. So basically, it's just a company that specializes in identity access management. Okay, and we leverage their ability to manage the uh, user accounts or whatnot into our own application. So they're just the best of what they do, and this is what the services that they provide. So single sign on, user provisioning, multi-factor authentication, and integration with services like Active Directory are kind of like their bread and butter. In common speak, Okta is like a digital gatekeeper for your computer stuff. It helps you manage your passwords and make sure that only the right people can access your computer's programs. It's like a high tech balancer for your online services, and it makes sure everything is safe and stays organized. Okay, now the last piece that we're going to get into is this protocol called SAML. So what is SAML? So SAML is going to be the framework that's actually implemented to exchange that information between the identity provider and the service provider. So that's something like Okta and some cloud service, okay, or some application, okay. It's commonly used with SSO, and it allows users to access multiple services with a set of login credentials. And last thing, without getting too long-winded, SAML is based on XML formatting. Okay, and the one thing I really want to hit is this thing called a SAML assertion. So basically, SAML assertion is like it's like the final check. It's like the final assessment of whether credentials are good or bad. Okay, so that's what this is saying. So it's like the final assessment. So it's a green light or a red light. Okay. So let's kind of get right into today's exercise. So I want to give a shout out to Amazon, um, Amazon blogs particularly. They do a really good job of just like helping the engineers, architects to implement some of this relatively confusing configurations at times. Like Okta is not easy to set up, but you know Amazon engineers, AWS, they have our back. So I found this really good workshop. It's called Amazon Connect SSO, and it covers setting up single sign-on for a lot of different identity providers. In this case, with Amazon Connect, which I'm kind of going to get into, but it's really it's a really great service that provides to AWS, which is why I'm always promoting AWS, because the documentation is on point, and it really helps you get the job done. So the first thing that the documentation that this particular workshop has us to do is create an Amazon Connect instance. I've already done that, and this is what it looks like. From the console. So I'm entering inside the instance right here, and I just want to draw your attention to the login. Okay, this login is basically a email address. Okay, the way it's kind of set up. So long story short, the for any kind of account that you have here in AWS Connect, AWS Connect, by the way, is a deployable cloud contact center. Um, that AWS provides, and it can serve like thousands of different, tens of thousands of user accounts. It handles chat. You can implement, chat bots, or you can implement all different types of services inside of this particular kind of this framework, like Salesforce. I mean, it goes deep, and I can get into that in the future. But the accounts need to be the logins. They're going to be formatted in a certain way. So in the same way that the username appears on the AWS Connect side, it also needs to appear on the Okta side. And it probably makes common sense as you say it like that, but that's what we are looking at here. So I'm going to get right into kind of going step by step of what the process is for setting this up. So, creating the Amazon Connect instance, I've already done that. Now let's get into creating IAM policies. So right here it says, for SAML to work, create the appropriate policies that grant access to specific resources and rights. So what this is saying here is, so we're setting up the IAM policies for Okta. So the first thing we're going to be doing is setting up a policy that allows Amazon Connect to get a token from the provider, or so allows Okta to get a token from the service provider. So that's what this means. It's a federated token. So what federation basically means is it's kind of what we were already talking about in a higher level. So it basically is, you have your Google account, okay? So instead of, and you want to access some particular kind of service, some kind of application or whatnot. So instead of that application saying, hey, you need to create a new account, which is what it used to be back in the day, you need to create a user account. You need to, with us, go through all the steps creating a user account. What Federation basically does is say, hey, Google trusts you. So, we're going to say, hey, if Google can validate you on their end, we're going to let you into our particular system. So it vouches for you. And that's really what it is in a nutshell, okay? It's vouching for, it's one, established identity provider like Facebook, like Google, and it's saying, hey, if it's good for you guys, it's good for us. All right, so that's kind of like the real quick and easy about it. So the first thing we're going to do here is set up this IAM policy, okay, that is going to grant access to specific resources, okay? So first thing it's going to do is we're going to go to IAM console. We're going to go to policies, create policy. So IAM policy, create policy, JSON, and we're going to edit this. Now what this is saying here is we're going to be entering the ARN of the actual Amazon Connect instance. Okay, so that's what this says. So replace your ARN here with the ARN for your instance, the Amazon Connect instance. So that's what's going to be over here. That's what this guy is. This is the ARN. So again, I'm in Amazon Connect. I'm in my instance, and I'm just copy pasting this information right here. Okay, and being careful not to get too overzealous and make a mistake. All right, so this Amazon Connect instance, this particular resource can get this Amazon Connect instance can get federated tokens from different services. So it can work with something like Okta and exchange authentication information. Okay, but anyways, this is the first step. So, all right, let's hit a little bit of a disclaimer here. I kind of hard on my laptop, so I think I may have dropped it or whatnot. So like some of the keys just like sticking this morning, so I have to use like a virtual keyboard. So that's what's going on my end. Full disclosure. All right, so policy name. Let's do it right by the book. The policy name. This is called Okta Federation Policy. Okay, so this is a read level access, and we'll create that policy. Okay, I probably already have it. So let's just do a policy. All right, so I already have it. So that's the point. Okay, so we don't have to do it. So I've already gone through this a couple times. So there it is. Maybe I should check that before. Okay, so we got that in place. Okay. Second step is to we're going to create a policy that allows Okta to list IAM roles and IAM aliases. So I already have this one as well. So it's just a CLI policy. So this is this basically has access to a list of different roles. It allows us to perform two different IAM actions. So Okta is able to provide these two different actions. So list roles and list count aliases. So that's like the next step here in the workshop flow. So I already have this one as well. So let's just take a look here. Yep, so I already have these already. Create policy. Okay, so I already have this user as well. So so we're just creating all of the resources, the IAM resources needed for Okta to perform this SSO login. That's basically all that's happening here. Okay, so Okta has the ability to perform these IAM actions, and it also has the ability to connect to access AWS Connect and get this token, and this resource is the actual AWS Connect instance. All right, so let me just verify that I also have that user over here. Yep, it's right there. So we're good to go. So actually, let me delete this user. Let me make sure that it has the correct. Well, I want to make sure it has the correct. I think we're good. All right, we should be good. Okay. So we created the user. So this is the step we're on. So now we're going to get into the Okta configuration. Okay. So Okta is the identity management platform. Using a federation application like Okta allows users to navigate and log into Amazon Connect with proper credentials and security controls. So it's basically using SAML under the hood. So these are the steps. The user launches Okta. Okta is giving them a like an endpoint or a URL to hit, and the user through the Okta interface is performing all those functions as I said before. It's just allowing you to authenticate once with Okta, and then Okta is going to communicate out to AWS and verify that this user is authenticated because of federation, and then AWS is going to give temporary credentials to the user or to Okta so that Okta can log in. Okay, so that's what's happening here. Okay, So the first thing is we're going to do is log into the Okta account. Go to the admin basically. So let's go right here. And we're going to add application. So this is the admin. But so let's just add this integration. Okay. All right. So this is basically saying, add this particular application. So this AWS Account Federation. I actually had to Google this because it wasn't like by default available in like the I don't know why it wasn't like available in the Okta applications that you can select. Um, so I just had to basically, Google AWS Account Federation Okta, and it gave me the link to actually uh, get the plugin to use here in the Okta side. Don't ask me why. That's just that's an Okta thing, but that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, is to kind of show you, hey, there's some hiccups here. So there's some disconnects, and so this is I'm trying to tie all the strings together. So the first things first is add application, and we're just going to keep the name as the AWS Account Federation. I'm going to choose add. We'll go ahead and follow these steps. So we're just going to name this application Amazon Connect Administrator inside of the Okta app. So just to make everything consistent. All right. Next step is to, in your AWS login URL, so we want to be able to log into the console with this. So that's what this is also saying here. Again, this blog is provided by AWS, and so it really helps with getting a project up and running. So this is why I think this this video could be helpful. But I'm also saying this video could not be made available in a short period of time without AWS. So I want to give a nod out to them. Okay, so here, again, here we're just kind of configuring all of the Okta setup. So we're going to enter this URL so it has access to the AWS console. So that's there. This browser plugin I will submit. Let's see if that's set up. Browser plugin auto submit, so that's good. On the sign in options page, choose SAML 2.0. So let's go to sign in options here. Let's go to next. Sign in options. Here we want to choose this one, SAML 2.0. And we want to enter this particular string and update the variables in here with the correct values. All right, so in the default relay state, so this is actually what logs us into Amazon Connect. So it's almost like, okay, so these, it needs permissions to access the console for logging in. And then it also, I'm talking about Okta. Okta needs to be able to access the AWS console, but it also needs to access this federated connection to our Connect instance. So that's what this is doing here. So, all right, so we are in US East 1. Okay, US East 1. And let's get the Connect instance, the ID. So, all right, so basically the ID is going to be the ending right here, okay? So this is going to be the instance ID. That's what this is asking for. So instance ID, that's what this guy is right there. E5. I think that's what it was. Okay, let's go back here. To replace region ID, replace instance ID for your instance. Okay, so this last thing is we're going to right click here and get this metadata here. So now I'm going to test this script that I made and see if it actually works. But it does work with the URL. We'll see in a second. So this is done. Let's make sure. Save your target file. So let's do it here. Okay, so this is the metadata URL. So let's copy this and we're going to go to this little script right here. So we're going to see. Let's delete this. So this little script right here is just going to help us to pull down the XML. That's all. And create this provider. So Python 3, and the name of this is identity provider. Enter the name for the SAML identity provider. Okta Connect admin. URL. Enter the URL metadata link, which is this guy right here. Copy. Okay, so I just created this for us, Okta Connect admin. So what does that look like? So this is an identity provider. So we got to go over here to identity provider, and it's Okta Connect admin. So we just created it. See, it says now. See, again, I've been working on this for a couple of days. This SSO, because it's really important, know how to set up SSO. Because it actually affects users. So that's kind of why I was like, hey, let me try to do something that actually can provide some value to folks. So knowing how to do this is, it actually helps businesses. So that's kind of why I want to do it. So the little Python script, it actually created this identity provider with that XML document, which facilitates the transfer of authentication and authorization back and forth. All right, that's what it is. It's a bridge between both of those the identity provider and the actual service provider. So in this case, Okta and AWS Connect. All right, so we did that. So it's already done. So let's get the we want to get the ARN for this. The ARN. All right, we'll just put that over there. AWS Connect identity provider. So that's what that is. Okay, let's move on. So the next step, okay, so we have this. We want to create a role for this. So we need to create an IAM role. So let's do that. So we want to go back to IAM role. I may have this already, but we'll see. Create role. What's the name? Okta Connect admin. Let me see if I have that. Again, must have dropped my laptop, and so the computers are not sticking this morning. So I'm just like, okay, let me put this to virtual keyboard up here. All right, so I don't have it, so that's good. So let me go and create the role, like it says here. And we want to create this Okta Connect admin. So SAML 2.0 Federation. We want to pick the type of role. We want to pick the identity provider. So that's what that means. That that SAML 2.0 based provider. That's the identity provider. That's what we just created. Okta Connect admin. And we want to allow programmatic access and access to the AWS console. So this guy. So we've already completed these steps. So we want to move over to those permissions. So when you have a role, you have to add permission. So a role is basically like when you have the ability to assume a role. It's almost like you're almost able to shape shift. So if you have a role, if you have the ability to assume a role, I don't know. I used to watch a lot of X Men back in the day or whatnot. There was like this character called Mystique. She could shapeshift. All right. So having a role is like being able to shapeshift, or it's basically being able to assume uh, the ability to access different accounts or services based on what's detailed in the it was based on what's detailed in the policy. Some policies say, hey, I can do X, Y, and Z. Some policies say I could do A, B, and C. And that's really what it's all about. So I can assume the policy that does. If I have a role, I can assume a policy. If I have a role, I can assume another role that allows me to do A, B, and C, or X, Y, and Z. Okay, and X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C, those are different actions that I can perform on different resources. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If it's not, leave it in the comments, and I'll try to get a better answer. I'm doing this off the fly. So, all right, so we're gonna hit those permissions. So we got this role created. So we want to see. Oops. Okta. Okay. All right, so we have these two policies. Okay. So we want to add these two policies to that role. So we've already done these. So I've done them previously. Just kind of make this go a little bit faster. So I want to select these both. So I'm selecting both of those policies. I want to hit next. And I just want to put Okta role. So I want to name this role with these policies. I'm going to call it Okta role. Stop. Go back. Copy. Okay. Perfect. So the role has been created. So create role. Now let's go back to Okta tab. So in the advanced settings, we want to go to the identity provider. So back to Okta over here. Okay, so Okta advanced sign-on section, paste identity provider. Okay, so yeah, this is the part where I definitely need to. Okay, maybe let me just. Okay, here we go. Advanced section, it says perfect. So here's an identity provider, that Okta Connect admin. All right, so let's go back here. What does it say? So return to Okta tab in the advanced sign-on section, identity provider ARN, identity provider ARN. Okay, also formerly known as SAML SSO, identity provider ARN, identity provider ARN. Paste. Okay, that's good to go. Okay, so we've done that session right there. This choose done. Make sure regular area. Okay, cool. Choose done. Okay, good. So now we want to provide Okta with programmatic access. So while logged into the Okta administrator, let's choose applications. So this is the administrator. We go to applications. Applications. Provisioning. Okay, so let's go back over here. So we want to go into provisioning. Okay. So configure, let's see here. Darn it. All right, so I already have this saved. Shit. All right, so let's just configure the API integration. So that's what this is saying right here. So we're going to go provisioning and then configure API integration. So I've already done this, but let me enable API integration. So let me go back over here. I'm going to delete anything that has damn it. Okay, I should have. Here it is. Okay, so this is yeah, trust me, this is not going to be available after this. But so this is the AWS access key, and this is the secret key to give this Okta access over my AWS account to perform certain actions. Okay, paste. And it's going to have us to test it. So enable API integration. Boom, boom, boom. A connected account ID is optional, so that's not okay. And we choose test it. So let's try that. Test API credentials. AWS account federation was verified successfully. It says save. Let's save it. Fantastic. All right. So choose to app. So let's go to app. To app. There you go, right there. Choose edit, it says. Okay. All right, so it says enable create users. Let's do that. Enable it. And then hit save. Okay. Next step. Okay, so we should be able to see all the mappings it's talking about. So yeah, so all these mappings. Oh, go back. Sorry. It's so sensitive over here. So provisioning. Yeah, we still should see it. It's right there. Yeah, so all those mappings. Sorry, I'm getting a little carried away. Okay. So to assign the application to your user. Okay, so so now we just have to basically on the Okta side say, hey, this user has access to this AWS federation over here. So that's what this is saying. So let's go to directory. So this is like the Okta admin. So the directory is up here. I guess people. And that's me, Elliot. And then this is my email. So this is the same, and this is basically, it's an email, but it's also my username. It's the same username that I was saying in the beginning. Over here in Connect, see the Cloud Shepherd, blah, 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 awsapps.com. See right there. So that's the same thing. So we want to choose that. So we want to choose the admin administrator. So let's go here. We want to choose, I choose myself. I want to assign applications. And I want to assign it that AWS connector administrator. Assign it. Now, it's very important to take note here because I made a mistake or two. So in the drop down role, we want to choose Okta role. In the SAML user, we want to say Okta role. So we want to use that Okta role here. Okta role. Okta role. So only got one of those. An Okta role. Okay. So let's see what the next step is. Okay, save and go back. I'm being a little bit extra cautious here, so it should say done. Yeah, so hit done again. I don't want to miss anything. It's like, I want to get this one and done. Okay, I've seen this before. This really doesn't have an effect on actually being able to log in, but it makes it seem like it does, and that's why I really don't like how they just kind of have this big red flag, because at the end of the day, we're still gonna be able to do what we need to do. So this is like a red herring, like red herring. So the test application. Okay, so now to test the application, it's moment of truth time. I should be able to refresh this. And I should see the AWS account. I'm gonna hit this. Ah. All right, I gotta go get. Let me go get my phone. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. Yeah, so I'm definitely recording this live. So, all right, let me just see what we got here. See if this works. 822 and voila, there we go. We have successfully set up single sign-on with Okta and AWS. So that was the goal of the exercise. So again, big shout out to AWS workshops. They really do a fantastic job. So this is a skill that you can use. Hey, listen, for all different types of enterprises, they all use Okta. So I'll make a link to this resource in the comments. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments as well. Thank you and have a good morning.